This is Wednesday, April 10th, 2024, How to Embiggen Podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis in for Tom Webster, who will show up in a few minutes. I'm just doing the intro today. Being overly restrictive of what counts as a podcast could lead to the medium going the way of the blog. Tom Webster's keynote presentation from Evolutions by Podcast Movement breaks down how we can embigify the industry. But first, this week, Brian Barletta goes on a special partnership deep dive joined by Venice Vacchi of Spanish Broadcasting Systems to discuss how they make use of the MediaStream platform. Vacchi breaks down both the expected ways SBS has been able to use MediaStream to distribute content, as well as growing new content from new additions to the service like live event functionality. Catch the 25-minute conversation now on soundsprofitable.com. And with that, I give you Tom Webster.
I want to share something with you. I mentioned that I've been in sort of the media business for 30 years, doing media research and audience research. I've worked on the Howard Stern Show. I've worked on All Things Considered. I've run the gamut on the shows that I've worked on and done audience research for. And I've spent 19 of those in podcasting, right? This is at the start of my 19th year looking at podcasting, trying to do whatever it is I can to help lift this space. And that's really why I joined Brian, because that's both of our goals. That's our mission, to grow this space, to develop it into an economy so that people can make careers and lives out of doing podcasting. Nothing would make me happier than doing that, right? What I encourage you all to do, and make a little pledge with yourself to do this. Things can get really divisive in this space. You know, podcasting started as sort of a band of pirates that were sick of radio, right? That's really how podcasting started. And that kind of pirate mentality, I think, persists even today, and that's a good thing. But let's also remember that we're all rowing the same boat here, right? We are all trying to do our best to grow this space. And so what I would encourage you to do is think about this. 15 years ago, I spoke about podcasts at a thing called Blog World. Now, for you students of history, a weblog or blog was a thing from the early part of the 21st century. And I still remember them. I don't know if you do as well. They really didn't last, did they? I mean, yes, some of us still have blogs, but they kind of got eaten by Medium and Substack and newsletters and things like that. Blogs aren't a thing anymore. And I don't want that to happen to this space. And that's a thing that could happen if we allow ourselves to get too divided, if we allow ourselves to try to chop things up too much. We need to take a cue from improv, adopt a yes and mentality. We're all fighting a great battle here. We're all trying to do the best that we can. And things that I think divide us are not particularly useful right now. There's a sentiment I see all the time. If it doesn't have an RSS feed, it's not a podcast. Let me tell you something. RSS is the most valuable thing that we have. It is absolutely the biggest superpower of podcasting. The ability to set up shop completely on a brand new platform with just a feed. It is amazing. It's amazing, right? But it does not benefit anybody to draw those kinds of lines. Earlier today, the infinite dial numbers came out and showed that podcasting grew. If you could deduct from that the people who are watching video podcasts, getting their podcasts on YouTube, I have 3 degrees. There's an econometrics term for it. They get ensmallified. Ensmallification occurs. They get a lot ensmallified, right? We are growing. We are growing as a spoken word, audio first, episodic medium. And I don't really care how people get it. And we all need to row in the same direction. It doesn't serve anybody to draw these lines. Cui bono, as my Latin teacher would have said. Who does it benefit? I don't know that it benefits anybody. What I would like you to do when you leave here, and maybe even here, is join something. Join something. If you are an independent podcast creator, join the Podcast Academy. Join the Podcast Academy. I'll give you a code, join24. It gets you, I don't know, a lot off, right? It's designed to celebrate excellence, and we have excellence. If you're doing interviews and you're not regularly listening to people like Alex Bloomberg and Anna Sale and Terry Gross, we have excellence. If you want your podcast to sound better, There's people like Jeff Schmidt and Travis Vengroff and Dallas Taylor doing amazing things with sound design. We have excellence. We can learn. We can get better. I encourage you to join. If you're a company that is serving the interests of podcasting, join us. Join us at Sounds Profitable. We have 175 partner companies now. We just pulled off the first full day South by Southwest session devoted entirely to podcasts. We just pulled that off, and we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep trying to raise the bar and try to embigify this space as much as we can, right? So that's a thing you can join. If you're an independent podcaster, it can be a lonely time for you. It can be hard when you're constantly looking at your downloads and maybe they've plateaued or maybe they're not growing. Join other podcasters in your genre, combine into one feed. To me, that's one of the simplest ways to grow, is to join other podcasters in a single feed, right? If you have a comedy show or a true crime show, find some other like-minded podcasters and make sure that there's a feed that is always filled with your great content. It becomes something you can brand. It becomes something that people can rely upon, right? Just join the thing. Join the thing. And another thing that I think is incredibly important is doing things in your local community. I'm convinced that doing things locally is one of the best ways we can grow podcasting. I remember CB Radio, so they're still around, right? It stood for Citizens Band. Wouldn't it be great if your community had a single RSS feed with all the local podcasters telling the stories, singing the songs of your city in a way that newspapers really aren't funded to do anymore, in a way that local radio stations really don't do anymore, right? Those things are all possible if you join. And I'll leave you with this. Years ago, in the late 20th century, where I am from, there was a thing called videotape, right? And there were two different standards of videotape, and they fought constantly. There was Betamax, which was a platform put out by Sony that was not an open platform. It was a closed platform, right? And then there was VHS. VHS was developed, I'm pretty sure, by JVC, but they brought in lots of other partners, brands that we all know and love, like Quasar, right? Is anybody who remember who won that battle? No. Nobody won that battle because we don't watch tape anymore. We watch movies. Remember what you do. Remember why you do it. Don't draw lines where they don't have to exist. Join something. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to How to Embigify Podcasting by Tom Webster. This episode is hosted on Spreaker. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.